New from K-Tel Records, 22 explosive hits.
Hey everybody, it's me, Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I'm just going to go through a small little stack of recent acquisitions or things that I've been listening to. And this is just a nice little variety of things. And I just figured, gosh darn it, somebody's going to be interested in some of this stuff besides me, right? Right? Anyway, let's start off with a band called Astral Drive. Astral Drive is actually producer, songwriter Phil Thornley. And he's written a lot of hit songs for other artists. He was also briefly a member of The Cure. He was briefly a member of Johnny Hates Jazz. He's been a solo artist. He's been a producer, songwriter, etc. But he decided that he wanted to make an album that sounded like the AM radio albums in his mind, you know, the kind of music that really inspired him when he was younger. So he put together a group called Astral Drive. It's basically just him playing all the instruments. And they have released 2 albums. Now, the best way to describe Astral Drive is Todd Rundgren meets World Party. Now, if that sort of gets you excited, I say definitely check out Astral Drive. This is just the self-titled album, and this is also self-titled, but they also call it Orange. So, because, you know, it's orange. So definitely check out Astral Drive. Another thing that I've been listening to lately is a kind of new wave power pop band called The Fools. And they had a couple albums out on, I believe they were EMI or EMI America. And they both are available on one CD. One is called Sold Out, and the other one is called Heavy Mental. And it's good new wavy power pop, rock. I wouldn't classify them exactly as power pop, but they do have a lot of songs that are very power poppy. And they continued after this as well with some independent releases. But this is really the stuff that I love by them the most. So definitely check that out if you stumble across that in one of your bins. It's out of print, so it goes for a good amount of money. So you may want to search around a little bit, price it out. Here's another great out of print CD, Jigsaw. You know the group that does Sky High. This is a collection of their songs. They're actually much more than Sky High. Lots of great songs. Songwriting. Can't believe that the drummer sings every song. It's not that often you're going to find a band that the drummer sings every song. You're going to find the Ringos of the world who have a song every other album or one song per album. But this does have Sky High. And probably my second favorite song in here is a song called Who Do You Think You Are, which they had a hit with over in the UK. But Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods recorded it and turned it into a hit in the U.S. This is on the Tarragon label. I'll buy anything on the Tarragon label. They were really good at compiling solid collections. Most of the stuff I have by them are like easy listening things. But Jigsaw, really fine release. You should definitely check it out. Next up, we have a British band, post-punk band called Spear of Destiny. I had every song on this compilation a couple times over, and I still keep buying all the Spear of Destiny titles. Really fantastic. This came out on Edsel Records. Spear of Destiny, Kirk Brandon. He used to be in a band called Theater of Hate. Then he formed Spear of Destiny. Now both bands exist. He'll spend a little while doing Spear of Destiny stuff. Then he'll go back and do some Theater of Hate stuff, and it goes back and forth. So every couple of years, you're going to get a Spear of Destiny, then a Theater of Hate album. But yeah, very post-punk. Is it pop? Is it really hook-filled? I think so, but it's kind of a darker edge, not goth. And he's a very unique vocalist. But you should definitely check out some great songs. Like my favorite songs are probably their first 2 singles. Now, they've got tons of great songs. Like Comeback is a great song, which is not one of their first 2 singles. But I'd say The Flying Scotsman and The Wheel are 2 of my favorite songs. And they're unique and they're different. And every album was a little bit different. And they even had a hit single called Never Take Me Alive, which actually was a hit on American radio back in late 80s. And but definitely you should check that out if you want to hear something a little different, a little darker, a little less commercial, but still great to listen to. I'm a big fan of Johnny Mathis, so of course I had to pick up the BGO reissues. This one here has 4 of his albums. This one here has 3 of his albums, but one of them is a live. I think that was a double release. So technically it's 4 LPs on 2 CDs. So, but Johnny Mathis, BGO has been doing a great job. They did a great job with the Andy Williams catalog, and Andy Williams is my favorite of all time. Now here is a release a little confusing, so please bear with me. It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Now this actually came out about 5 years ago, maybe, with the same exact cover. And what it was taken from the audio of the original videotape. So you heard, it's actually from the literal soundtrack of the holiday cartoon. And sometimes you hear like the wind rustling or something. You don't hear any of the voices on it. You might be able to hear footsteps because it's, like I said, it's taken from the actual videotape or whatever you call it back then. But this here, they actually found the original session tapes. So this takes all the music and it adds a bunch of like alternate takes. But everything here is only they're basically just like cues that are like a minute and 18 seconds long or 38 seconds long. So you look in there and you go, oh, look at all those bonus tracks. But they are all very short, but it's wonderful. It's a great trip down memory lane. Definitely check that out if you're a fan of the Peanuts TV specials, and especially the music of the Vince Guaraldi Trio. Fantastic. Now let's move over to Harry Nilsson. This is called the A's and B's. This is a 3 CD set featuring, yeah, that's right, all the A and B sides from Nilsson's RCA years, jam-packed full of great songs. Everybody knows that Harry Nilsson was one of the greatest songwriters. And it's ironic because his 2 biggest hit singles, Without You and Everybody's Talking, those were written by other people. And about, halfway through this, his voice gets shredded, but still very unique and classic and eccentric and wonderful. And you should definitely check out Harry Nilsson if you don't have anything, because I think the box set might be out of print, the one that had all his albums. But this is a great collection. You can get all the singles all scooped up and on one 3 CD set. Harry Nilsson, the A's and B's. Definitely check that out. Now, a lot of you know that I'm a big fan of the melodic punk, Buzzcocks, Undertones, Clash, Jam, bands like that. One of the bands that I think gets really overlooked a lot is a band called 999. And this is a 2 CD collection. It's called A Punk Rock Anthology 1977 to 2020. And it's really fabulous because they're more sort of a rock and roll punk band. They came from the pub scene in the UK, and the members formed 999. So I think they might have been just a few years older than most of the other punk bands out there. But yeah, it's got Homicide and Nasty Nasty and lots of great songs. The only thing bad here in the US, especially in California, there was a song off of The Biggest Prize in Sport called Hollywood that got a lot of radio play, and that is not on this. So people are going to go, oh, it doesn't have Hollywood. But that's okay because all their other songs are great. And plus, I've got all the other 999s, so I've got Hollywood probably on 2 or 3 different releases. Next up is, that's right, George Martin, The Beatle Girls. This is George Martin's instrumental versions of famous Beatles songs. When we were kids, we never owned this one, so when I got the CD, it was the first time I had ever heard this album. But this was an album that we grew up with called Off the Beatle Track. And that's another collection of George Martin doing instrumental orchestral versions of Beatles songs. I really like that. And finally, the last thing I'm going to talk about is a band that just, oh my gosh, they just get obliterated through the VC, and I do not understand why. I am talking about the band Journey. I love Journey. Now, back in when I was in my punk days, I kept my distance. I'm admitting to you, I kept my distance because, of course, all the long-haired, Camaro stoner dudes were playing Journey, and I was in the corner there playing Madness and the Jam and the Clash. Yeah, Yeah, I'm going to admit that. But I liked the Journey stuff I heard. And I was really, really intrigued when I would hear just these great melodies and that voice, Steve Perry's voice. Incredible. So when I realized, look, I'm not an idiot. I can like everything. You know, and that's why I finally just opened up and told everybody, hey, there are no guilty pleasures. I'm going to love Johnny Mathis just as much as I love 999. I don't need to pretend that I don't like this stuff. And that's where I've been for the last 40 years, just talking about music and embracing everything and listening to everything, including Journey. So I eventually did get all the Journey albums, love them to death. I got the Steve Perry solo albums. But of course, this Journey here is with Arnel Pineda. Now, this album is Nilsson, Jonathan Cain, Arnel Pineda are the main members because they kicked the other guys out. But the album does have on bass Randy Jackson, who played bass on Raised on Radio. He was the actual bass player with Journey for a little while back in 86 or so, 86, 87. And then also Narada Michael Walden plays drums. So really fantastic drummer. And he's a songwriter, producer. He's a Renaissance man. And a super talented guy. But they're only studio guys. This record here is just the 2 albums prior that they did with Arnel Pineda were great, right? I love them. But they didn't sound like Journey albums per se. Like they were, they weren't sticking with the formula. They were maintaining, they were being a modern version of Journey, which I totally respect. Love and respect that of them. Not a problem with it. But this sounds like classic Journey. It does. It sounds like they said, you know what, let's not try to be who we aren't. Let's just be Journey. And this album sounds like Journey. I mean, even to the point where they've got like some of the same keyboard sounds like that open separate ways and things like that. So definitely check this out. It is called Freedom. And it's really, really good. It only just came out this year. And it's jam-packed full of great songs. Arnel Pineda sounds fantastic. It's really a wonderful album. I think you should check it out. But anyway, that is it. My pile on this side is now on this side, which means there's nothing here anymore. So there's nothing for me to talk about. Thank you for sitting there and listening to me babble. Let me know what you think. Do you have any of these albums? Are you going to check out any of these albums? Let me know in the comments below. But before you go, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, to ring that bell for future notifications. And until the next time, remember me. I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie.